All of us were waiting for the minute hand to strike midnight. It did. The government is closed.
Yeah, after weeks of partisan rancor, on again, off again negotiations, here we are. The lights of the Capitol went out at 12:01 this morning. Figuratively speaking, of course. They aren't going to come back on until lawmakers can reach a deal to fund the government.
Senate Democrats dug in to fight for health care subsidies and tanked the Republican funding plan yesterday. That GOP proposal would have kept the whole government running through November 21st. While each side is committed to their own priorities, there is one thing they do agree on, and that is finger pointing.
Right now, there's no negotiation. It's a shakedown. The Democrats have asked for $1 trillion of additional spending, and they want it all for just a 4-week opening of the government. That's absolutely ludicrous.
We're here. We are fighting for health care that is accessible and affordable for every American, and we certainly think that our Republican colleagues should be in this fight with us instead of being willing to shut down the government.
Washington correspondent Drew Petromo has been watching the shutdown clock tick down to today. He joins us here for the very latest. And, you know, I was reading The Hill this morning, out in print, by the way, everybody. And this really just sets the stage, right? Health insurance costs for 22 million people in limbo as shutdown begins. Explain that.
So many different facets of this, but one of the key issues being fought over here is healthcare policy. There were these subsidies that were put in place during the pandemic that basically made buying healthcare insurance on the Affordable Care Act marketplace more affordable for middle-income Americans. It basically caps how much you have to pay out of pocket for your health insurance premiums. Those subsidies expire at the end of the year, and there's been this ongoing conversation of what to do about that. There are many Republicans who think this is government intrusion into what should be a private marketplace, and they want to pull back on those subsidies. Other Republicans, especially those in swing districts, see a potential pitfall to ending those subsidies. It could cost them in the midterm elections. Democrats really want to fight on that turf. They think healthcare is one of their best issues, and they are going to bat for those subsidies in this fight over broader government funding. They say they're not going to vote for that government funding plan unless Democrats do something about these subsidies that are set to expire. Republicans say they want to negotiate out of that. That's kind of why we're at this impasse right now.
So with that in mind, the Kaiser Family Foundation says healthcare premiums could rise 115% without the ACA tax credits. They believe ultimately it's going to be raising the cost for everyone. And today, it says that the Medicare telehealth waivers and acute hospital at home, those have expired as of today.
Yeah, if you think about it, this was a great deal for a lot of people that was implemented during the pandemic, where people that were making $75,000 a year could get a huge discount by buying plans on the Affordable Care Act marketplace. If you take that away, especially a lot of healthy people are going to be like, you know what, I really don't need insurance. If it's going to cost me $1,000 a month, maybe I'll just do without it. Right. Well, then you think about the people that are still on the marketplace are going to be the people that really need it and could not get off even if it's expensive. Well, that drives up the risk pool, makes it more costly for insurers to insure these people because they're often more sick. And that in turn could drive up the cost of health care for everybody that's on the Affordable Care Act marketplace.
And just one more point on the healthcare fight. We continue to hear Republicans say the Democrats want to provide healthcare to undocumented immigrants. We know federal law does not allow undocumented immigrants to take part in the ACA to get those ACA subsidies. Republicans have now countered that argument and said, well, that may be the law, but it's not being enforced, which is why we have to adjust some things.
And it's not so much really people who are here illegally. It's immigrants that are here, you know, asylum seekers,
refugees,
DACA recipients that are able to get these subsidies, and there is a fight going on over whether they should maintain that eligibility under any new plan or extension.
Meantime, let's talk about impact just a little more, because we're looking at impact on military families now that this has happened. Maria Donnelly, she's co-founder of the Military Family Foundation and the wife of somebody who's serving. She says 10% of military children are on Medicaid, so she's worried about that not happening. 25% of military families are eligible for WIC, you know, which isn't happening under this. So, you know, there's a lot of concern that goes around. We think about federal workers all of the time, but it goes beyond that, right? to the military, to people's health care, to all of these different places.
Federal workers, contractors, so many people, hundreds of thousands of people are going to be furloughed, so they're not going to be on the job. Those services will be slowed. You also have this phenomenon known as sick outs, where you have all these people that are being told, yeah, you have to come to work, you're mandatory, but you're not going to get paid till this is over. Well, there's not really an end in sight right now for when they actually will get paid. So you have people saying, you know what, I'm going to use my sick time now. So that slows government services, and that's a whole, it's very hard to predict how much impact that will have. There's another issue at play here that I think is important to discuss, and that's in normal shutdowns, you have people that are furloughed, and many of them are brought back and recompensated after the shutdown ends. In this case, the White House is threatening to fire a large number of these people that are furloughed and also make it more painful for blue states in Democratic cities. The president even talked about that. I think we actually have a soundbite with him. Let's listen to him because I think it's very important in this debate.
Trump. Let's play the Trump soundbite.
We can do things during the shutdown that are irreversible, that are bad for them and irreversible by them, like cutting vast numbers of people out, cutting things that they like, cutting programs that they like.
It seems like a real threat.
It is, and you even heard from a Republican senator who said, I wouldn't want to be a blue state Democrat right now because of how much power the White House has to control the purse strings under a shutdown scenario. And truth be told, this is one of the reasons why back in March, Democrats were hesitant to enter into a shutdown scenario because the White House would have so much power. Democrats now want to draw a line in the sand for many different reasons, but they're staking their claim on health care, which they think is a good issue for them, and they want to go to war over that. The question is, where is the potential off-ramp? I think, if you polled Congress, there probably is some agreement that they could find over these Affordable Care Act subsidies. The question is, can they ever get to that negotiation when the government is shut down?
Right.
One thing the president doesn't talk about is there were a lot of folks who voted for him in blue states. They're not just blue.
Well, and if you look at the makeup of Congress, the reason why Republicans have a majority, especially in the House of Representatives, is because they made major gains in places like California and New York. And if you talk to those lawmakers and say, we're going to cut services and cut funds to those blue states, you're really putting the Republican majority, especially in the House, at threat.
Yeah, the government shut down, but the blame game certainly continues. We'll talk more about that in the 8 a.m. hour because it's interesting to see all these government websites actually weighing in on who's to blame for the shutdown. Drew, we appreciate it. We'll see you next hour.